The time by Caracas is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible. Funding for tourism businesses, a new financial watchdog, and UK markets eye rates. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Tuesday, July 14, 2026. I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, 750 million Jamaican dollars remains available to help Jamaican businesses expand the tourism supply chain, supporting new products, investment, and growth. Also ahead, the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is set to launch its Office of Financial Conduct in September, in a major step to strengthen consumer protection across the region's financial sector. And later, UK bond markets remain focused on the interest rate outlook and the impact of the country's political transition on investor sentiment. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Mikey, is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the Cathy? Me and you go party tonight.
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, Cathy. I'm securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
You have to be authentic with what you do. You have to be respectful of people. I bought that whilst at Jamaica National and rebranded it as J&J General Insurance Company. It was the first bank ever approved by the regulators in the UK from the Caribbean. And you have to be a genuine leader. You can't try to fluff it around and to pretend.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a financing opportunity for Jamaica's small businesses. Hundreds of millions of dollars remain available to help Jamaican entrepreneurs develop products for the country's tourism industry, as the government intensifies efforts to replace more imported goods with locally made alternatives. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett revealed that 750 million Jamaican dollars remains available through the Tourism Enhancement Fund's revolving loan program for businesses with innovative ideas capable of supplying hotels, attractions, and other tourism enterprises.
And so far, 433 small companies have benefited, and we have lent, because it's a revolving loan scheme, over $3 billion already, and we still have 750 million there ready to be on lent to others when they come with new ideas for new products and new development.
The tourism minister says the private financial sector must now play a bigger role in turning innovative business ideas into export-ready products for Jamaica's tourism industry.
Our banks now have to come to the table. The wider capital market has to come to the table to enable access once ideas have been converted into products.
That was Jamaica's Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. Jamaica's tourism industry is being challenged to become a bigger customer of local businesses as the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, argues that the sector's future depends as much on what it buys as who it attracts. Newly appointed JHTA President O'Brien Heron says the long-term competitiveness of the country's tourism industry will depend on how deeply it integrates Jamaican businesses into its supply chain rather than simply attracting more visitors.
I firmly believe that the future competitiveness of our tourism industry depends not only on attracting more visitors, but on deepening the connections between tourism and the many industries that support it. Building stronger local supply chains, fostering innovation, encouraging entrepreneurship, and expanding opportunities for Jamaican businesses are essential to creating a more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable tourism sector.
He says strengthening procurement between hotels and Jamaican manufacturers is key to keeping more tourism dollars in the local economy.
Every business relationship established, every locally made product purchased, and every entrepreneur supported contributes to a stronger economy, greater national prosperity, and a tourism industry where success is shared by all Jamaicans.
That was JHTA President O'Brien Heron. Jamaica's global services industry has lost approximately 1/3 of its workforce since reaching its peak in 2023-24 as operators grapple with rising costs and increased competition. Outgoing president of the Global Services Association of Jamaica, Wayne Sinclair, says employment has declined from between 60,000 and 65,000 workers to approximately 40,000. Despite the contraction, he says the sector remains Jamaica's second largest employer and the country's third largest foreign exchange earner, generating about $900 million annually. Sinclair attributes the decline to Hurricane Melissa, labor shortages, rising operating costs, and growing competition from other outsourcing destinations. However, he says the contraction is not permanent, noting that the global services market continues to expand. He argues that Jamaica must improve productivity, strengthen workforce training, and move into higher value services to regain market share. And in other news, escalating tensions in the Middle East are raising concerns about global energy supplies. But West Indies Petroleum WIP Terminal says Jamaica's fuel imports remain secure with no disruptions to its supply chain or immediate threat to the country's energy security. Chief Executive Officer Charles Chambers says WIP continues to receive fuel through established supply agreements from the U.S. Gulf Coast and the Caribbean.
I mean, we're supplied primarily with clean products, that's gasoline and diesel, through a relationship with Atlantic Trading and Marketing, which is ATMI. They're the U.S. trading arm of Total Energies. We're about 5 months into a 1-year supply agreement, and we've had no interruptions in our supply and don't expect to have any. We're supplied directly from their refinery out of the U.S. Gulf Coast. Additionally, we're supplied with fuel oil by Sunoco. And they're a US-based company with significant blending and storing operations in St. Croix. And again, we've had no interruptions in supply and don't expect to have any.
WIP Terminal is also positioning itself for future growth with plans to expand Jamaica's fuel storage capacity and pursue new opportunities across the Caribbean.
The entire Caribbean basin, from northern South America through Central America, is within our operating horizon. WIP Terminal's listed shares provide equity currency for acquisitions. The JSE listing was conceived as a platform for exactly this kind of growth. Opportunities are being actively evaluated as we speak, and the company is positioned to move when the right ones arise. Regional demand for liquid fuels continues to support storage and distribution activity. The entire Caribbean basin.
That was WIP Terminal CEO Charles Chambers. We go now to updates from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Tuesday's currency trading session, the US dollar is selling for $159.14, the Canadian for $113.52, the pound sterling for $215.87, while the going rate for the euro is $180.74. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 112 stocks, of which 45 advanced, 49 declined, and 18 traded firm. Leading the winners are Cygnus Real Estate Finance USD, Knutsford Express Services, Image Plus Consultants, and First Rock Real Estate Investments, while leading the losers are MPC Caribbean Clean Energy, Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, Access Financial Services, and Qantas Advantage Incorporated USD. The main index advanced by 3,351.60 points to close at 365,590.95 points. The junior market index declined by 4.45 points to close at 2,971.97 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. In today's Market Education feature, let's talk about business ethics. Business ethics are the moral principles and values that guide how companies and individuals conduct business. They promote responsible, honest, and fair decision-making beyond simply complying with the law. Strong business ethics help organizations build trust, enhance their reputation, strengthen customer loyalty, and support long-term success. They also encourage fairness in the marketplace by ensuring customers, employees, and other stakeholders are treated with integrity and respect. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments.
We're here to open a savings account for my son John. I really want him to start saving and managing his own money.
And I need for Safe to visit my father in New York.
Okay, based on what you said and our risk assessment, he will qualify for simplified customer due diligence requirements. I'll need your ID, proof of income, TRN, and John's ID as well.
Okay, here you go.
Opening an account is easier than you think using simplified customer due diligence requirements, also called CDD.
You have to be authentic with what you do. You have to be respectful of people. I bought that whilst at Jamaica National and rebranded it as J&J General Insurance Company. It was the first bank ever approved by the regulators in the UK from the Caribbean. And you have to be a genuine leader. You can't try to fluff it around and to pretend.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, says a new financial conduct regulator will begin operations in September in a major step towards strengthening consumer protection and improving confidence in the region's financial system. Speaking after the 113th Monetary Council meeting on Friday, ECCB Governor Timothy Antoine said the Office of Financial Conduct will oversee how banks and other financial institutions treat customers while promoting transparency, fair pricing, and broader financial inclusion.
But financial inclusion does require the affordable, accessible, transparent access to financial services, inclusive of payments, credit, insurance, financial advice. And we are going to be committed through that Office of Financial Conduct to make sure that all institutions, bank and non-bank, up their game in respect of how customers are treated. It will be very important for customers to understand their own rights and also to understand their responsibilities.
Antoine says the regulator will also scrutinize pricing practices to ensure impartiality for all customers across the financial sector.
But obviously, for the same service or a similar service, there should not be a wide disparity in pricing. And if there is, that would be of concern to the Office of Financial Conduct. So for the same service, let's say, for example, we look at electronic funds transfer. One entity for the very same service can be charging $2 and another charging $20. That would concern us because our mandate would include fair and competitive and transparent pricing. How do you explain charging $20 when another institution is charging $2? So unless there is some additional value, additional services that are being provided that can explain that disparity, that will have to be addressed. But you have to look at it on its merits because each institution may be offering a different service. If it's differentiated, the cost may be different.
That was ECCB Governor Timothy Antoine. St. Lucia is defending its citizenship by investment program after the European Union, EU, renewed calls for Caribbean countries to phase out the initiative despite extensive regional reforms. Speaking during a press briefing Monday, Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire says St. Lucia has spent the past 2 years strengthening the program through new legislation, biometric screening, residency requirements, and the creation of a regional regulator.
One of the requirements they had asked us to put in place was a regional regulator. They wanted a regional body that can regulate the programs, oversee the programs, and make sure that all the legislative requirements are being met. We were asked to do so. We went into Parliament the ending of last year, and we passed the new legislation for the regional regulator. We changed our own laws to incorporate the regional regulator and other changes. And we thought, okay, we're making progress, we're moving forward. What you've asked us to do, we've done it. We've explained to you the importance of the programs to our countries.
Dr. Hilaire says the program remains an important source of development financing for St. Lucia and several neighboring countries.
In the case of St. Lucia, it's just about 8 to 10% of our national revenue. But in the case of some of the other islands, 45%, 55%. So it is significant in terms of the development of those countries, the financing of development of those countries. So we thought we were making progress, that we had met all what they told us. Even some things we believe were a little difficult, but we did it. The latest wrong that came out of them was that, you know what, we don't really care anymore. And the letter kind of said so. How good you run the program, whether it's not even a security threat anymore, we just don't want you to have these programs.
That was St. Lucia's Tourism Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Ernest Hilaire. St. Lucia maintains that citizenship by investment remains a critical source of development financing as Caribbean governments continue engaging the EU in an effort to preserve the program. In other news, Suriname's multi-billion-dollar offshore oil industry is gaining further momentum after Halliburton secured a major contract on the country's flagship Grand Morgu development, moving the project closer to first oil. Under the long-term agreement, Halliburton will provide drilling and well construction services for the Total Energies operated development using digital technologies and automation to improve efficiency and reduce costs. The company says it has expanded its local operations, established Suriname's first drilling and completions workshop, and will prioritize local hiring and supplier participation as activity accelerates. Grand Morgu is expected to begin production in 2028 at approximately 220,000 barrels of oil per day, making it one of the most significant developments in Suriname's history. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 22 securities, of which 9 advanced, 2 declined, and 11 traded firm. Leading today's winners are NCB Financial Group, JMMB Group, Massey Holdings, and Ansa McCall, while today's losers are Guardian Holdings and Ansa Merchant Bank. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index advanced by 5.78 points to close at 1,450.33. The Composite Index also advanced, but by 13.16 points to close at 1,013.13. The Cross-Listed Index gained 3.01 points to close at 76.37, while the SME Index remained at 79.13. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
It feels so good right now.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Welcome back. In international news, European regulators are stepping up pressure on major technology companies to make online platforms safer for children, warning that digital firms must take greater responsibility for the risk created by their services. Speaking at a press briefing on Monday, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says technology companies must do more to tackle harmful content, addictive platform features, and unwanted online contact.
I want to raise 3 points. My first point, the platforms were the architects of these systems. Now they must prove that their services do no harm. In Europe, whoever develops a product is responsible for its safety. Car manufacturers must make their vehicles safe. We do not expect children to design their own safety seat belts. We do not expect parents to fit airbags at home. And the very same must be true for big tech. This is why we have the Digital Services Act, so that providers remove harmful features, addictive algorithms, dark patterns, harmful content, or unwanted contacts.
She added that protecting children's rights will remain central to Europe's enforcement of its Digital Services Act.
With our DSA, we have already taken strong action against TikTok's addictive design, and just last week against Meta. Because the rule in Europe is safety by design. The platforms have a duty of care to their users, especially to their most vulnerable ones. So when a young person reports a problem, providers must respond quickly and effectively. Children's rights must be taken serious, and companies must be held accountable. So we will continue to uphold our legislation and enforce our rules and change the system where it fails our children.
That was European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Meanwhile, investors in the UK are balancing easing inflation against renewed political uncertainty. Britain's 10-year government bond yield slipped below 5% but remained near two-month highs as investors weighed inflation, interest rates, and political developments. The decline mirrored lower U.S. Treasury yields after softer-than-expected American inflation data reduced expectations for further Federal Reserve rate increases. However, ongoing tensions in the Middle East continued to fuel concerns that higher energy prices could keep inflation elevated. Markets now expect the Bank of England to raise interest rates twice this year, with a September increase almost fully priced in. Investor attention has also shifted to domestic politics ahead of Andy Burnham's expected appointment as Prime Minister on July 20. Markets are closely watching his choice of finance minister amid concerns over Britain's already fragile fiscal position. And in Asia, Japan's industrial production expanded for a second consecutive month in May, although growth slowed as manufacturers continued to face supply chain disruptions and higher energy costs. Industrial output rose 0.1% from April, below market expectations and well below the previous month's increase. Production increased in transport equipment, chemicals, and petroleum products. However, output declined across machinery, electrical equipment, and production machinery, reflecting uneven manufacturing conditions. Compared with a year earlier, industrial production fell 2.1%, marking its first annual decline in 6 months. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric tea. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. Yeah. Build up your body, boost up your brain. Take on the world now. Say bye-bye pain. Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric tea. Be good to you. Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric tea. Distributed by Amalgamated Distributors Limited.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, $750 million Jamaican dollars available to grow Jamaica's tourism supply chain. Regionally, ECCB set September launch for financial conduct regulator. And internationally, UK bond markets focus on rates and political transition. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.